All right, so thanks for checking out the channel. Today I want to talk about just kind of coming back from injury or sickness. I'll give you guys a few pointers based on my perspective as an instructor. Admittedly, the longest I've been out for any type of injury was a broken rib right up in here. I got my ribs broken. I was out for about 6 to 8 weeks. Luckily, I was back on the mats within 2 days. I'll share that in a second. But luckily, it wasn't. I've never had any sort of catastrophic injuries that have kept me out from jiu-jitsu. Now, for those who know, I am a school operator, and so I often have my students, one of the biggest questions I get from my students is, how to come back from an injury, how to come back from sickness. And there's a lot of psychological stuff that's going on that makes it harder for students, jiu-jitsu practitioners, to come back and actually get back to training. Okay, so I'm gonna go over those in just a second. For now, if you like the channel, be sure to check it out, like and subscribe, click the buttons down below or wherever they're at. Also, if you check out the description, there's a copy of my free book, The White Belt Survival Guide. Be sure to check that out if you're a beginner and you want a roadmap for the rest of your jiu-jitsu journey. So, the problems of coming back from any sort of injury or extended absence, again, it's all in your head, okay? It's all in your head. Now, one of the biggest problems, especially if you're a competitive athlete or if you're somebody who's just competitive and you don't want your training partners to be getting all the gains while you're on the couch, stuck at home, sick, sniveling, or injured, nursing an injury, okay? It's all in your head. I can tell you right now. I have a student. He tore up his shoulder in a hunting accident. He took 6 months off, got his shoulder taken care of, and he was back better than he ever was. So it's a myth that you lose your ability to train. Oftentimes what you'll find is that when you actually take time off, you come back better because your body's completely rested. Okay, now I'll tell you a story about my student. He used to give me some problems, his purple belt, he used to give me some problems before he left. He had his surgery, he was out for 6 months, he comes back, and all of a sudden he's a monster, and I'm having to train hard with him. Okay, I'm having to go harder, I'm having to actually use a lot of my jiu-jitsu in order to best him, okay? Now, if it were true that you get worse taking time off, then that wouldn't have been the case, okay? Now, I'll tell you why you feel worse. The reason why you feel worse is just because you're not conditioned, okay? It's almost like if you keep up a weightlifting regimen for a while, you take a few months off, and then you get back to it, you're maybe not putting up the numbers that you were putting up before, but it doesn't take you that long to get back to that level that you were, if not much better, okay? So oftentimes what happens is people just need the rest. Now, this whole idea that your training partners are getting better without you, that's the case in the event that your partners are actually coming to class, which they probably are, but it's also the case that in the event that you're doing absolutely nothing, okay? So in the case of my student actually studied jiu-jitsu every single day. He was watching videos and he was trying to stay involved. And what happened is he was learning while he was taking his break for his shoulder, okay? So if you are hurt or if you are sick, the best advice I can give you is just find a way to stay involved, okay? Go to class and observe class. I tell students all the time, one of the best things about jiu-jitsu is the community. Just go hang out at your school, right? Text your professors, text your coaches, your teammates, okay? Come to class and just watch. And oh, professor, I don't want to watch the class from the sidelines and watch everybody. It's better than doing nothing at home. Okay, I can guarantee, even my students who have mild injuries, I tell them, just come in and train, practice the techniques instead of sparring. And inevitably I get, oh, but professor, I don't want to just do the technique. Sparring is the fun part. In my opinion, it's much better than doing nothing at home. And now, if you find a way to stay involved, you find a way to come in and train and practice and do what you can, avoid more pain, obviously, then what you're going to find is much better than doing absolutely nothing, okay? And then you find a way to stay involved and you don't have to worry about missing out so much. And so, to me, in my opinion, the big thing that happens when somebody has to take time off for injury or sickness or whatever is they just feel discouraged that they're not getting as good as their training partners. And it's totally not necessarily the case. You can still get good, you just have to find yourself a way to study and stay involved. And I can tell you right now, it's all in your head. The last thing I want to share with you is just a matter of perspective, okay? I assume that if you're doing jiu-jitsu right now, maybe you're a white belt, maybe you're a blue belt, maybe you're a purple belt or a brown belt, let's just say you're black belt maybe. I assume that if you're doing jiu-jitsu right now, you're gonna wanna be doing this for the rest of your life, okay? Whether that's 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, maybe you're an 18-year-old hungry white belt. Theoretically, you got 60, 70, 80 years ahead of you. You've got a long time, okay? Being out for 6 months, for 6 weeks, for 6 days while you deal with some BS virus, it means absolutely nothing. It's just a little blip on this large radar, or this large timeline. And I can guarantee you, for me personally, I've been training for 13 years, that 6 weeks I took off for my rib injury was, and I didn't take off that much, but that 6 weeks in this 13-year span, I don't even think about it. I don't even remember it. So you have to put that in perspective, that anytime you have to take a few days off, you have to take a week off, you'll do more damage to yourself being discouraged of having to take the time off than you actually will just take an hour a day, an hour every other day, study something. You know, watch some flow grappling. Shout out to flow grappling here. Watch some flow grappling matches on TV. Text your instructors, right? Ask them what they're working on. Come to class. Hang out on the chairs, right? While you watch the class, just find a way to stay involved. But at the end of the day, you should not be discouraged for having to take any amount of time off, because on the grand scheme of things, if your goal is to do this for the rest of your life, then 5 weeks, 5 months, even 5 years in a timeline of 20 or 30 years, it means absolutely nothing. So my best advice is just stay involved however you can. Don't let the emotions of not training discourage you, even if you had something that you wanted to work towards, like a belt promotion or a competition. I guarantee you there's gonna be more belt promotions, there's gonna be more competitions, there's gonna be more training partners whose butts to kick on the mats. There will always be another training partner who's gonna kick your butt too. It's just one more thing to be chasing, when the important thing is just to put it all in perspective, zoom out, and realize that in the span of 30 years or 40 years or 60 years, you're doing this for the rest of your life. That week or two off is not going to matter at all. So again, I hope you enjoyed this perspective on coming back from injury or coming back from like any sort of sickness or time off, work, whatever. If you liked it, please leave a comment below. Let me know if I can help you. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, that's it.